Welcome back to Farmtastic CSA Cooking. My name is Tony, and I'll be your host and tour guide as we travel some of New Jersey's certified organic farms, gathering the ingredients of the season and bringing them to our friend Chef Kim of Jammin Crepes in Princeton, New Jersey. Now, this month's a pretty special time. This is when the growing season really just starts booming and blossoming, growing at such a rate that we can't pick the cucumbers and zucchini fast enough. So we are going to visit a farm called Jeff's Organic Farm, who's got a little extra cool backstory, but an amazing operation right now happening in New Jersey. So let's go check out what they've got going.
Hi, I'm Harley. I am co-owner and operator of Jeff's Organic Produce, which is established 2004. We've been here in Cream Ridge on this farm since 2012. And we grow over 100 different kinds of certified organic vegetables in any given season. This is my busy dog, Scout. So Jeff's Organic Produce is actually a second generation farm. My father-in-law, Elid Zbarsky, is owner of ER and Son Farm, which is one of the oldest certified organic farms in New Jersey. And Ed's really known as one of the forefathers of certified organic farming in the whole country. He started a long time ago in, I think, 1974. And when he started, there really wasn't many people around doing what we now know as certified organic. When he started, it was just farming without chemicals. So my husband, Jeff, grew up on the farm, working, learning his whole life. And then in 2004, started Jeff's Organic Produce. I met Jeff because I worked for Ed, and we started farming together. And to this day, we're here every day together, farming together. We've never not farmed together. So this is basically, vegetables are our life.
Hi, welcome back to Cooking with Your CSA. I'm Kim Rizk, one of the owners at Jammin Crepes, and welcome back if you've joined us in our other 3 sessions. This is our 4th session on Cooking with Your CSA, featuring Jeff's Organic Produce in Cream Ridge, New Jersey. We have 4 more sessions after this. We're really excited to share with you in all of these sessions just the wonderful produce that's coming off of these organic farms in our fabulous state of New Jersey. Jeff's Organics has a CSA program, and they have a farmer's market on their farm every Wednesday. And they also sell at the West Windsor Community Farmers Market on Saturdays. This is the box, a CSA box this week from Jeff's Organic Produce, and it's beautiful, just brimming with all kinds of summer produce. And I'm going to go through some of these things with you, and then we're going to make some really delicious things. We're going to make a soup and some quick pickles and a couple of great salads. We're going to learn how to roast beets perfectly. Let's get started and just kind of go through these things. In the front here, we have just some beautiful red leaf lettuce. This is some daikon radish here. Beautiful white daikon radish, which is crisp and delicious raw. You just peel that and slice it, grate it, put it in salads. Yum. Also makes a really nice quick pickle. We have some wonderful fresh broccoli. We're going to make a salad with the broccoli today. Really great raw broccoli salad. We have kohlrabi, something a little bit maybe more unusual for people. Delicious. It's a wonderful fresh root that's crunchy, and I'm going to show you what to do with that. The greens on the kohlrabi are edible too. Delicious and crunchy, these nice fresh greens. And they come in different colors. Look, there's a purple kohlrabi. We also have some fresh beets. We're going to learn how to roast the beets today. Some more great kind of beautiful tender Bibb lettuce. Gosh, it just goes on and on. Romaine lettuce, beautiful. Some chicory type lettuce, nice curly chicory type lettuce. Some white baby Hakurei turnips. Yum. We've done a couple things with those in the past. They're delicious roasted or pickled. or even just raw. They're really yummy. And those greens are edible too. We can roast those. I think we did that. Some fresh kale, if you're kale lovers, but kale is great raw in salads, or I love to shred it up and just wilt it into soups too. Really good for you, delicious kale. This is something wonderful. Look at this. This is a cutting or seasoning celery. Look at that. Look at the greens, and oh gosh, the aroma in that is so wonderful, and it really inspired me to show you how to make a really nice fresh buttermilk ranch salad dressing today. And it's going to be, primary seasoning is going to be that cutting celery. Let's see, over here we've got fennel, some nice fresh fennel bulbs. Nice crispy bulbs, and then you've got these nice feathery fronds, all of it edible. And then we have some garlic scapes, and we've had some fun with garlic scapes before. Really just a nice substitute in any recipe that calls for fresh minced garlic cloves. Use the garlic scapes. The whole thing is edible too. Ready to go. So I think that's a wrap on our CSA box from Jeff's Organics, and now we're gonna get cooking.
We grow like regular food. We don't have a lot of fancy food. We have good food, but what we have is like regular, maybe unusual, but nothing so fancy that it would be intimidating to the everyday shopper. A couple things a year we grow that maybe would be something new and exciting, but nothing intimidating or totally radical. Oh look, this is the first ripe grape tomatoes. You guys are getting this on film. The very first ones. Yeah, so anyway, cherry, grape, plum, gold grape. I always say this farm was built on grape tomatoes. It's like, I don't know how much money we actually make on them because it takes so long to pick them, but they're definitely a hot item, and I love selling them. I love eating them. But these tomatoes start now, and a good healthy plants will produce from now until the frost. I mean, we pick cherry tomatoes usually till October, November, depending on the weather. But yeah, these plants are real givers. We'll have these for a long time. So we really prioritize weed control. I believe that your first defense against pests and disease is just keeping a clean garden. I mean, it's not always easy. We use as much mechanized weed control as possible, but it really comes down to a lot of hoeing, wheel hoeing, pulling weeds. But it is basically, besides picking, it's what we do a lot of around here. We try to keep everything really clean.
Okay, so one of the first things we're going to make tonight is a delicious carrot and fennel soup. You know, soup is something that, I don't know, it's one of my favorite foods. And whenever, really the seasons are the muse for me in terms of what soup's going to be. So, and that's what we do at the restaurant. Every week we have, or every few days, depending on how long the soup lasts, we'll have a fresh soup that we make just based on what's in season. So right now, we have some nice carrots that came in the share box. We're going to end the fennel, which I showed you before. So we're going to make a carrot and fennel soup. And this is a recipe that we have on our menu here at Jammin Crepes. The first thing you want to do when you get your carrots from the CSA box is take your greens off. And I don't really love carrot greens. I don't know if anybody has any other ideas for them, but I usually don't eat my carrot greens or do anything with them. But you want to get rid of them because your carrots are going to stay much fresher if the greens are removed. Doesn't matter right now because we're going to cook them right away. And the basis for this soup, of course, is carrots and fresh fennel. And we have potatoes in here and onions. The easiest way to cut the carrots is lengthwise. Cut them, place them face down on your cutting board. I like to cut little strips. You'll see the smaller you can do, we're doing a little dice for these carrots. The smaller you can do the dice, the quicker the soup will cook. But we're going to use like an immersion blender to do this. We love using the immersion blender, you know, in the restaurant. And if we've got a really big handheld one, but at home one, I brought one of my home ones to show you because it's such an easy piece of equipment. I think it's a Braun or a Breville or something like that. And that way you're sauteing in the pot and then you're not having to transfer it to a blender, which is always a pain, right? And then you're dirtying something else. So you just use the immersion blender right in the soup pot, which is very cool. So we're going to cut the carrots in half like this, and you just want kind of a nice little dice. Put them flat side down so they stay in place, and there you go. That's your carrots. So, and we have a bunch cooked or chopped already because you don't really need to see me chopping a million carrots. So this is our fennel, which we've just washed. And the fennel bulb is going to be the basis of the body of the soup, but we are going to use the fronds as well. I'm going to just take off the fronds, cut this bulb in half that way, you'll see. Just trim away the bottom core, a little bit of it, which tends to be a little bit denser and more fibrous, but not too much of it because we're going to saute this down, and it's really going to be, it does become tender. So I'm going to cut this down here, cut this here. Sorry, my knife is not very sharp here today for some reason. Okay, there we go. And then we're just going to do a coarse chop on the fennel as well. And you'll see we're going to then do some of the greens and the fronds, but kind of at the end to season the soup because these fronds are so fragrant and nice. We're also going to use them in our buttermilk ranch dressing. So that's how we coarsely chop the fennel bulbs too. And they're just complementary flavors, the fennel and the carrots. I think you're going to really like it. This is so fragrant. These fennel bulbs are delicious too, very thinly sliced for a fresh salad too, really delicious fresh raw salad. Lots of ways to use them, but it really has kind of a real nice licorice flavor to it. When you cook it though, it mellows it out a little bit. So if you find some people don't really like that kind of heavy licorice flavor of the fresh fennel, a soup like this mellows it, and I think that they will like it. I really do. So try this one. If you've got people that are naysayers on fennel in your family, try this recipe. Okay, so that's how we coarsely chop the fennel. Get our pot on the stove, and the first ingredient we're going to put in there is some butter to saute our onions and carrots and fennel with lots of delicious seasonings. Okay, here's our butter. Pop that right in there. Okay, get everything else in there. Okay, onions, carrots, and some potatoes. And the potatoes give it some nice body to it, the soup. Okay. We're going to put some seasonings in there. We want to get some salt in there. And we're going to put in a couple of bay leaves and some fresh thyme. I'm just going to coarsely chop some fresh thyme. And I'm using the stems and everything because this is nice summertime that really is not too woody. So we'll get some fresh thyme in there. We're going to get this all coated in here with the fat. Lots of veggies. And we're going to put a bunch of these nice fresh fennel fronds in here too. for wonderful extra fennel flavor. We'll put them in at this stage in the game, and then you'll see we're also going to put them in at the end too for finishing. It's nice to layer the flavors in. Okay, so we have the coarsely chopped fennel fronds going in there. Get that all stirred together. And we're going to put some nice fresh vegetable stock. This is our home brew. We make every day fresh vegetable stock at the restaurant with the trimmings from our veggies. And it smells so good too. Okay, so we're going to cover that. Now all those veggies with our broth. I'm going to bring that up to a simmer until everything's really nice and tender. And then you'll see we're just going to use an immersion blender. We don't want a total like puree kind of baby food soup. We want some nice texture in there. That's what the immersion blender helps with as well. So this will all just kind of break down. It doesn't have to cook very long because we have that nice chop. So we'll get that going. And then we'll go back to it. When it's done, it'll probably take about 15, 20 minutes, okay?
Do you want to go in there? These are all the yellow summer squash. Here's our late broccoli. Really killing it right now in 100-degree heat in July. Lacinato kale or dino kale. Popular item. I think people like to use it like as a raw alternative to the curly kale, like on a sandwich or in a salad. But not so different than the green kale, really. Here go our high tunnel tomatoes, which we started picking about a week ago. Starting to get into some heavy picking now, and the reason why we plant them in the high tunnel is just to capture the early market. If we just depended on the field tomatoes, we probably wouldn't have them for another 3 weeks or so. So we plant these the first week of April, and they're just getting ready now. We had sort of a mild spring, so they grew really well. Loving the heat now, really ripening up.
Hi, okay, so we have all this beautiful broccoli that we've cut up really finely, and we've just put it under some hot water to kind of bring out the bright color, but it's nice and raw still and crunchy, just the way you want it. And then we're gonna add in some toasted pecans done here. So we've got our toasted pecans that go in here. And you know, when you're cooking with nuts, always toast them just a little bit in the oven because it really brings out the flavor, the aroma, the whole thing. Just toasting your nuts a little bit, you know, 350 oven for just 10-15 minutes. All nuts are a little bit different. They're high in oil, so make sure you don't burn them. You just want them to brown. I always say when you smell them, take them out of the oven. They're ready, right? You get that flavor going. So there's our nuts. And then we have some raisins. Adds a nice sweetness to the salad. Okay, and now we're going to make our dressing, which is olive oil, garlic. We've got some grainy mustard, cider vinegar, one of my favorite all-time ingredients in dressings, and some brown sugar. Okay. We're just going to whisk that all together. And because we have these delicious fresh garlic scapes, we're going to mince some of those up and add them in there too. It's going to make it extra yummy. Who doesn't love a little more garlic punch? So we've just all simplest little dressing, whisk it up, a little salt and pepper. There we go. And I'm going to chop up these garlic scapes so we can add those right in. You hear the crunch? So you know they're nice and fresh and yummy, and they've got a nice fresh garlic bite to them. And you can use the whole thing on the scape. The ends are kind of like the little bloom end, and they're a little bit more spongy, let's just say, but they're totally edible too. Not as crisp as the other stalk part. So we'll just get these minced up here. You've got a little mini food processor that can work really nicely too. But I add these in any place that calls in the summertime when you've got them for fresh garlic. It's nice. So I'm going to do this. You can also make the basis. I think we talked about this last time. We had them too, summer pesto. So they're really a nice complement with fresh basil when you get some from the farmer's market or your own garden. If you love pesto, use the garlic scapes. Make a garlic scape pesto. Okay. And I think what I'm going to do actually is, rather than putting this into my dressing, I've got these nicely minced garlic scapes, and you're going to just pop them right into the salad. They're going to make a nice addition into the salad. Just in there. Yummy. Farm delicious freshness. Okay, so we've got our dressing here. I am just going to taste it. So we'd like to taste things, make sure we're properly seasoned. And we've got all these recipes for you. Okay? But remember, a recipe is really a template. And it varies with your produce and everything you're using. So you want to make sure that you taste things, adjust them, as needed, right? Okay, so we're going to pour this. And again, quantities you want to be careful of. I think the recipe we have for you calls for 3 heads of broccoli. Then you've got this amount of dressing, but you might want to put a little bit on there first, toss it, which I'm going to do here. Make sure that you don't overdress it. Again, this one's not really like a green salad where, the risk of overdressing nice tender greens, they kind of get wilty. This does have a little bit more body and texture to it, so it can take a little bit more. But then I'm going to taste it. I think that's plenty. I didn't need all that dressing for the amount of broccoli and the pecans and the raisins that I had. It has a really nice acid bite to it with the cider vinegar. It tastes really good. So we don't need all this, but you can save that, put it in the refrigerator in a jar. Next time you have, some fresh broccoli from the farmer's market, just save that dressing or use it on some greens. It's a nice dressing. So this broccoli slaw is really delicious. And I think that you're going to enjoy it all summer long when the broccoli is fresh. It's nice and crunchy. Yum. It's got taking the hot water on the broccoli just kind of gives it a tiny little tenderness, takes off that completely raw edge to it, makes it really yummy. So that is our raw broccoli slaw with toasted pecans and raisins. And we're going to go next on to pickling some kohlrabi. Okay, so one of our very favorite things to do at Jammin Crepes is to pickle summer produce. And there's lots of different ways to pickle things, lots of different flavorings. This is really a quick pickle that we're going to do, and we were inspired to this beautiful kohlrabi in the CSA box, which is crunchy and raw. When it's raw, it's really nice. So we want to keep that crunch. So we're going to do a quick pickle, which is going to make it really charming to add to salads and things, or even just put it on a crudité platter or a cheese platter. So nice. So the kohlrabi greens, I think I mentioned to you before, are completely edible too. So these nice fresh kohlrabi greens, save them, put them into a salad. I actually do a little roll up, snack with them with some hummus inside or something like that too. Or chop up ribbons and put them into a nice fresh summer soup. So what's fun is I'm going to show you how to spiralize the kohlrabi on this. We've got a KitchenAid mixer, and this is a spiralizer attachment. You may have a handheld spiralizer. If you don't, maybe you want to get one. It's kind of fun thing to do. Beets are good. They really work well on kind of firmer vegetables, but also with the summer squash season coming up, the summer squash works well to spiralize. So, and you can just spiralize and make noodles and, you know, make some like zucchini pasta. So I think it's well worth the investment, and it's really kind of fun. But with the kohlrabi, we're doing this for a quick pickle. So we're putting our kohlrabi in place there like that, and we're going to set up our blade here, kind of right in the middle of the root. Kind of push that in. You kind of have to be firm with it. Now, when we get started with this, we want to start off slowly. It has different speeds on it, but you don't want to be crazy fast right away. You want to get it kind of going and get this. There we go. Come on. Let's see. It worked on our last one. Oh, a little surgery. Surgery on the kohlrabi. There we go. That's going to work. Okay. There we go. Yes, there we go. I'm going to get some nice spiral crunchy. I love the fresh raw smell of this kohlrabi. It just smells so clean and fresh. And it's so crunchy. And the brine that we're going to make for this is so simple. You'll see, and we'll just warm it up enough to dissolve the sugar and the salt that are in the brine, but not too hot because we'll pour it over. We don't want to cook this kohlrabi. We want it to stay nice and crunchy. And then you're going to have these really fun, you know, spirals, tendrils that you can you know, sprinkle into salads, make it really fun, or put them kind of on a cheese platter. But the flavor of the brine, and I'm actually gonna put some fennel seed in this because I love the flavor of the fennel, but you could use a more traditional mustard seed. We're also gonna put some jalapeno in there to give them a little spice. So I'm just gonna cut the jalapeno in half. And if you don't like it spicy, don't put a jalapeno in. This is kind of another little master recipe for a summer pickle for fresh seasonal produce from the farmer's market. I'm going to take the seeds and the veins out there. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pack my, get some of my spirals in here, the kohlrabi. Kind of fun. If you have kids at home, they'll love doing this too. All right, I'm going to put a half jalapeno in here like this. Kind of put it on the side, make it look pretty. We've got a nice purple shallot. I'm going to slice that just in half and tuck that in here as well for some more color. And then some fresh dill. So this is a really nice traditional flavor. There's lots of fresh dill, usually this time of year at the farmer's market, or you're getting it in your CSA box. And we're going to tuck some of that in here too. So kind of layering it in. We'll put the herbs in, the jalapeno in. Now I'm going to put some more kohlrabi on here. Ooh. Where do we end with the kohlrabi, right? We've got lots of it. So yummy. Whatever I don't fit in here, honestly, I'm just going to chop up and eat raw in a salad too. It's really good. Okay, so we're going to pack the rest of this in here. Break that off. Some long spirals here. Fun. Okay, and some fennel seeds. And if you don't like the flavor of fennel, then use maybe like coriander. Maybe some mustard seeds. That's a really traditional seasoning in a pickle too. But I'm going to put my fennel seeds in there so I get that kind of all packed in the jar. And then over in on the stove, I have a small pot with my vinegar, cider vinegar, and a white wine vinegar, and then putting in my sugar and my salt, which kind of balances us out. This does have a nice sweetness to it, this pickle, which I think is really charming, you know, and very very friendly. People really like this kind of balance of the sweet and the salty in this fresh pickle. with the flavor of the fresh dill and the seasonings that you like to put in there. And all we're doing here is just really getting it warm enough to dissolve the sugar and the salt. Doesn't need to simmer, doesn't need to boil. You don't want to bring too much heat to it because you really want your vegetable, your kohlrabi in there to stay nice and fresh, and you don't want to cook it. You really want to get it warm enough so that it infuses its flavor into the vegetable in the jar. You can use this formula for zucchini. You don't have to spiralize it if you don't have one. Just do slices like you're doing cucumber pickles. Could be cucumber, zucchini, lots of different things. We even do fresh Jersey corn. So we'll cut it up right off the cob, fresh, raw, and then put a nice fresh brine on it with some seasonings in it. We like to use cilantro with our corn and jalapeno peppers and garlic to make a pickled corn, which is really good. And again, it's just it's a quick pickle and super tasty. And then once it's done, it stays for a long time in the refrigerator. Okay, we're gonna pour our brine right over top of our jar of vegetables and seasonings. See, we've got some heat, but it's not too hot. Just enough to kind of get all those flavors to infuse in there. And there you go. Now, you're wondering, how long is it going to take, right? Actually, pretty much right away, these things are delicious, but better, quite honestly, overnight. Put it in the refrigerator, and the next day it's going to be delicious, but you can certainly enjoy it right away too. So. Okay, great. So our soup is ready, our carrot and fennel soup that's been simmering on the stove with a nice veggie stock and all the wonderful seasonings. We're ready to go. Oh, the one thing we want to do, though, always make sure you take your bay leaves out before you use your immersion blender, because bay leaves will not puree. They're very brittle. They're a really nice seasoning in soups, but you don't want them, don't want to try to puree them into your soup, okay? So taking my bay leaves out. Everything is nice and tender, the carrots, the fennel pieces, the potatoes at this point. So we're going to use this handheld immersion blender to just blend it up, but in a coarse way. You don't want a pureed soup. You want to have some chunks, but you want to unify all the flavors and have a creamy base. And you're getting that creamy base with the root vegetables, the potatoes, the carrots, the fennel, all soft cooked. And then we're just kind of hitting it with the immersion blender to get some really nice texture in here and make a really nice unified soup with some texture. And it's looking really good. We've got some fennel fronds that we've cooked in here as well. And then we're going to finish it off with some more fresh fennel and thyme and a little pop of sherry vinegar, because I always like a little bit of acid in a soup is super important. So whether it's, you know, a little fresh lemon juice or some kind of other citrus or vinegar of some sort, it really makes a nice balance to have a little bit of acid in there. So we like the flavor of the sherry vinegar. I'm going to stir this in here. Our sherry vinegar in. And then we finish it with a little pop of sour cream. Just kind of adds to that texture, gives it a little more velvety texture. Completely optional. If you prefer to do something that's vegan, you can use the same recipe, and you can use olive oil instead of the butter that we used at the beginning. And then you can choose not to stir in your sour cream at the end. You can use sour cream or creme fraiche. And then we have this really nice, there's a really nice texture and body to this soup. And I'm going to taste it and season it. First, I'm going to chop up some more of our fresh fennel fronds, excuse me. I can say that. Because we did cook some in the beginning, but the freshness of these is going to be really nice when you layer in the flavor here. So we're going to mince some more of these. stir those right into our soup. It's going to make it look really pretty too, and delicious. And I always love fresh herbs at the end of a soup. Little acid, fresh herbs, and then a little bit more thyme as well. More fresh thyme. There we go. Okay. Smell all those wonderful flavors. Okay. All right, and we have our carrot and fennel soup. And if you do choose to use the sour cream in there, creme fraiche, when you serve it warm, you could put another little dollop on and some fresh fennel fronds right on top. Makes a nice presentation. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a really nice meal. I love to serve this in the summertime with just like a simple grilled cheese for a meal, for dinner, or a nice green salad, or both. So anyway, that's our soup. And thanks so much. I'm gonna try it. We should taste it, right? Let's taste it. All right, here we go. There's a really nice texture to it. I'll show that to you. What I want to show you is the texture of the vegetables in here. You see? So you've got this nice kind of unified, creamy texture, but you also have chunks of vegetables in there. You kind of want both, right? Taste that. Really nice. Cooking the fennel really mellows it out, but it has this really wonderful round flavor to it. And it's so complementary with the fresh carrots. And the potatoes give it this really nice texture too. That's like farmer's market in a soup pot. Really awesome. So I think you'll enjoy that. It's a great summer soup recipe when you've got lots of fresh carrots coming from the farmer's market and fennel and potatoes, and just really good and healthy. So cheers. Hope you enjoy it. Oh, super excited to share with you some of my favorite ways, or our favorite ways at the restaurant to enjoy beets. And so we have these beautiful summer beets in our CSA box. And beets come in, not just everybody thinks about, the ruby red beets, which are delicious, I love, but there's like nice red beets and golden beets, and so yummy. And beets are great raw, and we were just talking about this before. We'd love to put them in our juicer even and just juice them and combine them with orange juice is amazing, and carrot juice and all kinds of things you can throw in there. They're also great raw, sliced very thinly. They're nice and crunchy. But what I love the most is to oven roast them, because it's so simple and it creates a really nice kind of velvety, delicious vegetable once they're roasted. And the thing is, the beauty of it is, we're just going to cut the beetroot right off of the greens. The greens, of course, if you didn't know that, these are beautiful greens, and they are packed with nutrients and edible. So just chop these up, blend them into a soup, or saute them with a little bit of garlic and olive oil. So delicious. They're also fine raw in a salad too. As a matter of fact, when they're smaller, kind of like the baby beet greens, are super delicious in salads. But love them sauteed. Use them in something like a frittata with eggs. Yum, with beet greens. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to roast these now. And the beauty of it is, put your oven on fairly high, like 400 degrees. And you can be doing anything else in your oven at the same time, because what we're going to do is we're just going to wrap our beets up in pieces of foil, right? Super easy. And the beauty of this is too, it doesn't really matter too much what the temperature is. If you happen to be cooking something that's a lower temperature, like 350, you want to use the oven space, they're just going to take a little bit longer, and that's fine, right? So then you're going to put these just kind of on a sheet pan in the oven and roast them probably about an hour. It depends on the size of the beet too, but just until you can pierce them with a fork or a toothpick. The beauty of it is you really can't overcook them, you know, and when you do it this way, you're locking in all the flavor and nutrients and all the delicious natural sweetness of those beets. So that's why I love them oven roasted versus, like, you know, traditionally people would simmer them on the stove, but I think you're losing a lot of the nutritional value that way as the flavor is kind of leaching into the water. So oven roasted beets. Then once they're oven roasted, well, let me show you right now, because I actually did. We weren't going to wait an hour, so I made some in advance. We're going to open up our little package here, and I'm going to show you. So we put them all in, you know, the skin and all. You know, we wash them, of course, first, but you don't have to worry too much about, they're never beautiful on the outside, like they'll like be little nubby things on the skin. Don't worry about it, because what's going to happen is you're just going to, these skins, look at this, they just slip right off. Just push them off with your fingers. And if that's not working for you, that's probably because you haven't cooked them long enough. Just going to tell you. So put them back in the oven. So this is a beautiful colored beet. Look at that. So like even that end comes right off, and yum. Now you've got all of this nice, tender flesh. You can just slice. Look at the color of that. I think this is a Chioggia beet. I'm going to slice it. You can dice it as well, but I'm going to slice these beets because I'm going to layer them on a platter for a salad, or this is what I would do. And then I have a really nice, do a little bit more, fresh buttermilk ranch dressing that we're going to give you the recipe. It's so easy. And you're going to love these beets. Arranged on a platter. You can do lots of different colors too. Just drizzled with some of this buttermilk ranch dressing. Yum. So good. Let's see what these look like. Here, these are the Chioggia beets. Nice kind of light red color. Let me see. I think I might have like a traditional purple beet in here too. Let's take a look and see what else we have. Oh, no, that one's not roasted. That won't work. Excuse me. So let's see. Here we go. Oh, like a little surprise package here. Yeah, let's take a look. Let me get these off onto our platter here. It'll be so good. So yeah, this is the really kind of ox blood traditional purple beet, which is so amazing. This color, which, you know, of course, that was like one of the original dyes, I think, used. So I'm going to be careful about getting this on your clothes, but or your hands. But so nutrient dense, so good for you, great for your blood pressure as well. And really, look at the colors then. You can do a stack here with all of these different color beets. And then there are golden ones as well. So you could just kind of do a little beet stack salad and then drizzle it with buttermilk ranch dressing. And the reason I went for the buttermilk ranch dressing is I was inspired by what came in our CSA package from Jeff's Organics. And one of those things that really inspired me was this beautiful cutting celery. Smells so amazing. So the recipe that we're giving you is a master recipe. I think it has like dill and scallions and some tarragon in it, but use whatever fragrant herbs are freshest that you're getting from in your CSA box or at the farmer's market. I'm going to use the cutting celery and the fennel fronds in with the buttermilk and the garlic scapes and make the most amazing buttermilk ranch dressing. I'm going to let you make that at home, and you're going to have the recipe, and it's so easy. You just throw it in the food processor or blender. You're going to love it. But what I want to tell you is, you know, you might think, well, I don't have buttermilk. So easiest thing to make if you don't have buttermilk or they don't have it at the market, just use 1 cup of whole milk and a tablespoon of lemon juice or vinegar, lemon juice or vinegar. And you whisk it right into the milk And it takes just about like 10 minutes or so for this to start curdling. And then you're gonna have a buttermilk. And what's lovely about buttermilk is it has that natural tang to it. Of course, that's what you're doing with adding the vinegar in. And it has a really nice body to it, texture with the curdling and the acid. So that's a really nice basis for your buttermilk ranch dressing. So I just thought you'd be excited to see how to make your own fresh buttermilk at home too. So I really think you're gonna enjoy that. And if you have not been roasting your own beets in the oven, please start doing it. It's so delicious. Actually, one of my favorite things to do too is telling you about the beet greens. I'll do the roasted beets like this and then saute the greens with some olive oil and garlic and top it, put it right on here. So you've got the warm beet greens with the roasted root and then a drizzle of that buttermilk ranch dressing. Yum, great meal. Thanks again for joining us for Cooking with Your CSA. It's been so much fun to share our joy of all the wonderful organic fresh produce that is here, right here in our Garden State. Hope you'll join us next time.